Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight, I have something extra special for you. Our guest tonight is Jean Blankenship, DPC dialysis patient citizens board member, extraordinary kidney advocate, and kidney transplant recipient. Jean is married and daddy to four children ranging in ages from 5 to 19 years old. He lives in northeastern Oklahoma on the state border of Oklahoma and Arkansas within the boundaries of the Cherokee Nation Reservation. He is a proud Cherokee. Gene's first experience with kidney disease and polycystic kidney disease was in the 1980s. At the age of around 10, he would watch his father hook up to his peritoneal dialysis port for PD dialysis. Unfortunately, at the age of 12, Gene lost his dad immediately after his dad's transplant. Gene has lost several family members and friends to the challenges of chronic kidney disease. In 2003, he himself was diagnosed with PKD on a routine visit to his doctor. It was discovered that Gene's blood pressure was very high. He was placed on blood pressure medication. Subsequent testing led to the discovery that he had end-stage renal disease and inherited polycystic kidney disease. He was placed on dialysis in 2019. He did dialysis 3 times a week at the Fulbright Dialysis Center at Redbird Smith Health Complex on the Cherokee Nation Reservation. He was treated there in center for 3 years before receiving his transplant. He was listed for a kidney transplant at 3 different transplant centers, 2 in separate regions of the United States, including the University of Arkansas Little Rock Intricus Health System in Oklahoma City and St. John Ascension in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Gene received his kidney transplant at the University of Arkansas in Little Rock February 9th of 2023. So congratulations to Gene on that. That's pretty recent.
Absolutely.
I particularly respect Gene for some of the life choices he's made from his life experiences and his faith. Quote, "My faith in Jesus is something that has without a doubt carried me through challenging times," unquote. This is what has led him to become one of the very best kidney advocates in the country. When Gene received his first transplant call, he and his wife, Stacy, drove 3 hours to Little Rock, were settled in, checked in, and he was prepped for surgery when Gene received a call from his transplant coordinator informing him that the kidney was defective and unsuitable for transplant. Fortunately, Stacy is his rock of support, and Gene and Stacy, they don't dwell on the bad. They move on. That's their motto. Gene keeps moving forward as an example to his children, and I might add, as an example to all of us. Part of that moving forward is Gene's tremendous work as a kidney advocate. Gene has for a long time dedicated his life to helping others. Gene is an advocate lobbyist in his professional career. Quote, "As a former state of Arkansas and state of Oklahoma child abuse investigator, I quickly realized the need for representation among my fellow state workers," unquote. As a field organizer with the Oklahoma Public Employees Association, Gene fights for better pay and benefits for all the state employees of Oklahoma. My friend Gene, he's all about helping others. This is continued through his advocacy for his fellow kidney patients. Quote, "Americans have limited access to their legislators in D.C., which makes the mission of advocating much more important. I can't not stress the importance of your unique story. It needs to be told. I would encourage you to become a patient ambassador, make phone calls, write letters, and become involved in your area." Gene works with a number of kidney advocacy groups including the American Kidney Fund, the National Kidney Foundation, and the Polycystic Kidney Disease Foundation. He is also a champion advocate for the Goodness Village in Little Rock, Arkansas, where they provide housing for patients after transplant. I met Gene last year at the NKF Summit in Washington, D.C. He is now a patient advocate and a member of the board of directors for the Dialysis Patients Citizens, who is recognized as a very, very successful fighter for his fellow kidney patients everywhere. Please give a warm welcome to one of the very best. My friend, Gene Blankenship, is with us tonight. Gene, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks, Uncle Jim. That was a great introduction. I don't know if I can follow any of that.
Well, you're the man. I got a lot of respect for you.
Oh,
did I state everything correctly in the introduction?
Yeah, I believe you said it all correctly, and all I'm doing is trying to keep up with a guy like you. That's all I'm trying to do.
Please tell us a little bit about your wife, Stacy, and your 4 children.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Stacy and I actually met. We were both working for the state of Oklahoma, the Department of Human Services. I was a child abuse investigator, and Stacy was a permanency worker. So we had desks really close to each other. And after one of us decided to approach the other one, that's all she wrote from there. You know, we've been together ever since, and so we're going on 5 or 6 years. I'll be in trouble for not knowing that answer, but so we're going strong. We have fun. We've got 4 kids. I have my Addison. She's at Oklahoma State University, and she started college there, and so she's spreading her wings and flying and doing great. We've got Dawson, who is 17, and he's a junior at Weber Falls High School. He's number 21 on the football team. I might add that he's had 3 touchdowns this year and 18 tackles so far. So tomorrow night's the second round of the playoffs, and so that's really important to us. And then we've got Colton, who's 15. Colton is into theater, and so he's going to be the Grinch this year in the school play. He's already secured that part, so we're excited to see that. And then we've got Gideon. We call him Giddy B, and he's 5, going on 30. And he's we call him 9-0 because he goes 90-0 all the time. So we live in a small town in Gore, Oklahoma. We're located on the eastern side of the state. When we go to town, we either go to Sallisaw or we go to Muskogee or Tahlequah. So when Tahlequah is right up the road, that's the home of the Cherokee Nation. And so we live within the boundaries of the Cherokee Nation Reservation. And so I'm a proud Cherokee. My family is, and I'm happy to say that every time that I get a chance.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about your experiences with kidney disease. I understand that both your father and your grandfather had polycystic kidney disease.
Yes, yes, sir. That's correct. I've got several family members that have had polycystic kidney disease. Some are living today, and we've had several that have passed. And like you had mentioned, my dad had passed in 1989. I was 12 years old when that happened. He had the complications of PKD, so he was doing parenteral back in the 80s, at home. And so I remember him hooking up those, the ports and stuff. And as a kid, I thought it was kind of cool, Iron Man parts or something like that, and it's really funny because he told me that story when I was a kid. And after my transplant, I had all those staples in my stomach for mine. And so Gideon come over and I was trying to comfort him because he saw Daddy hurting. I was like, don't worry about it, man. It's Iron Man parts, So, so I had to use one of my dad's lines, and that was really cool. But I had several family members that have struggled and are struggling with PKD. Several are on dialysis. We have a couple of us are living with a transplant right now. Praise the Lord. And I think we've had a couple of them that's had transplants and they've been rejected, but they're pushing forward and waiting on their chance to get their donation. So
that's great. It's my understanding that around the age of 12, 13, in 1990, your father passed away from conditions related to PKD. Can you tell me what that was like for you? You were pretty young.
Yeah. So, I saw him where we grow up around here. It's a lot. The men will try and shield their families from seeing them suffer, seeing them in pain. I mean, that's just the way that the men are around here and stuff. And so my dad was no different than that. He shielded us from a lot of the suffering that he had to go through. We saw it as much as he tried to hide it. We seen it. But anyway, so it was a big happy thing when he got the call. It was it was really early in the morning, and they just grabbed us up, took us to Nanny Sue's house, which is my mom's mom, and we dropped us off, told us to listen to Nanny, and they went on to the hospital. He was up there for 30 days. So he, after his transplant, it come to find out they had cut a hole in one of his intestines during the transplant surgery, and unfortunately, the hospital tried to cover it up, and that's a whole nother issue. But anyways, he ended up passing away. And that left my mom and me and my two sisters. And so it was it was a growing experience. It was something that you had to grow up fast in. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, but we were just fine. I had some strong uncles in my life, my Uncle Kenny, and I had good family around me. I had my Uncle Jack and my Uncle Rick, and so cousins, and we were close. So that helped. Had we not had that support system in place, or we not had our family, I was at my Aunt Terry's or Aunt Betty's, every other day, it seems like, and stuff. So, but we pushed through it. Everybody chipped in and helped out. And so we came out the other side, and everybody's doing good. My sister Candace works down here in Salisaw at the Redbird Smith Health Clinic, which is directly across the street from the dialysis facility that I treated in. So she's a nurse now, and she works in there. So that's a cool thing. My other sister, she's a hairdresser. So anyways, I probably told you too much information there, Jim.
No, you're doing fine. I understand that you were diagnosed in 2003 with end-stage renal disease and polycystic kidney disease. Can you tell us a little bit, how did that diagnosis come about? I read something about you being on a camping trip.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great story. So I was with sheriff, and I used to be a deputy. I was a reserve deputy for 12 years at the Muskogee County Sheriff's Department. And there was just a little camping trip we had put together and went on to go canoeing and stuff. And so I was walking around the truck bed and hit the hitch hit my shin, on that hitch, and boy, it hurt something awful. And ended up going to the doctor to get that checked out. And when I was at the doctor, they obviously check your blood pressure as a routine type thing. And my blood pressure, I guess, was astronomical. And they wanted to call an ambulance, but I was hard headed. I was a hard headed old country boy. You ain't gonna call me no ambulance. And so I didn't let him. And he basically handed me 3 sample boxes of metoprolol. I think those pills were 100 milligrams each, if I remember right. And I've got another funny story to follow up with you on this one about this doctor. So he hands me these boxes and says, go home, take 2 of these pills and lay down. Specific words. Now, you call me in the morning. That way I know you didn't die overnight, since you didn't want to take an ambulance. I said, okay. So I went on home, took the pills, laid down, and called him in the morning. Anyways, they ended up regulating my blood pressure through medication, and that was really the only thing in 2003 that we had to do at that point. And I started trying to eat a little bit healthy and working out, and then I would go through stages of that, where I would be super healthy and working out for 6 months, and then I'd slack off for 6 months. It'd be a back and forth battle for me and stuff. And then I was going to the doctors a lot more frequently because I started seeing signs of swelling. Fatigue was just horrible. The fatigue was just, I can't even describe it. And then I would have these moments where I would just feel like I'm about to pass out. I didn't know that was my phosphorus, falling out. I didn't know all this was connected to my kidneys. I had zero idea that every single thing. I just thought I was getting some of the same issues that my family had suffered from years prior, that weren't the family members that suffered from kidney disease. But anyways, we got the diagnosis, and I decided I wanted to try home dialysis. So we got the fistula put in, and we tried that for 2 weeks. There was workforce issues that caused that whole process to be prolonged, and we ended up stopping the home treatments after a few weeks, and ended up going in center. Didn't really have any issues in center and stuff, but anyways, and on to the transplant.
Okay. I have a note here that said that you had a kidney transplant at the University of Arkansas in Little Rock, February 9th of 2023, this year. That was fairly recent. Tell us how this came about.
Well, so we did the dialysis for 3 years. We did it at a DaVita facility there in Sallisaw, and we got listed at we first got listed at the University of Oklahoma because there's 3 transplant centers in the state of Oklahoma, and OU's one of them. So we went there. The experience was fantastic up until I had to start actually getting tested and all that, and it just wasn't going to be the right fit for us. And so we moved to Integris, OKC, and then St. John's and Tulsa. And then I got to reading the scientific registry and starting to look at some reviews and follow some chat rooms and stuff. And so I came upon the University of Arkansas's solid organ transplant program. And so I went over there just on finding out information about them through research. And so we got listed there, and then I got a call. It wasn't probably 3 or 4 months after our listing, it seemed like, and we went down to Arkansas, and we were walking to the room, and they called us and said, the social worker called and said, they found something wrong with the kidney, which I am thankful for. I'm thankful for science and that they run those tests and stuff. And I was glad, Stacy and I were glad to have that practice to make that practice run, because we didn't know we would be coming back there, a little bit later on. And anyways, we had another call at St. John's where we went through the whole process there. And I ended up treating in dialysis there that night and got released in the morning. The kidney was, again, not going to be a viable candidate for me. They found something with that one too. And again, I'm thankful for that. The next one was a really awkward one, and I'm not going to mention the name of the hospital because I don't want to disparage them in any way, but I got called and I'm told I'm 5th on the list. And the reason I bring that up is I hope some people from hospitals watch this, because you don't call anybody and tell them you're 5th on the list, because you got 5 families out there wondering, hoping, praying that they're going to be the one. And you don't need to upset that many people. You're going to upset a couple of them. It's just all there is. That's the way of the game. But you just need to call 1 or 2 of them. So we waited literally like 4 or 5 hours to hear a call back on that one. And then we got the golden call, 9:30 in the morning, February 9th. And me and Stacy jumped in the car and headed to Little Rock, boo-hooing all the way, we were so thankful, because we'd waited for so long. I'm sorry. But anyways, we got there. They prepped me for surgery, and everything was perfect. It was Dr. Lyle Burdine. I kid around with him now. Every time I see him, when I go see him for my follow-ups and stuff, I call him the Master Jedi Surgeon. He gets a big kick out of that. But him and his team were just fantastic through the whole process. I had the most excellent care. I had the greatest nursing staff, techs. The whole group was just great from start to finish. Ended up staying in Little Rock another 2 months just to be on the safe side of things. We did not want to take any chances, because I am I can't express how thankful I am for that gift, and so we weren't going to do anything to jeopardize that whatsoever. So we were probably overly cautious, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Okay. Little teaching moment here, Gene.
Yep.
I understand that you were listed in multiple centers in 2 separate regions of the country. Please explain to our audience why you were listed in multiple centers and different regions?
Well, I'm going to tell you what it goes back to. It goes back to you being your best advocate, you being the person that researches, you do it. You don't depend on Facebook comments, emails, papers. You go do all your own research and find out. And so that's what I did. And so it was going to be a better chance for me to get a kidney transplant if I'm listed in multiple regions. And I'm not going to lie to you. We were fixing to head to Baylor and go list down there. And after Baylor, I don't know where else we were going to list, but we were going to keep going, as time allowed us to do that, because you just increase your chances by doing that. Of course, we were still under some of the ridiculous UNOS rules back then. And so that kind of probably played a big part, which plays a big part in everybody else's. But thankfully, I was only on the list for 3 years. However, there are people that are on that list for 10 plus years on dialysis, and I hope that HR, was it 2544? I hope that is going to, the Organ Procurement, the Transplantation Act, I hope that's going to create a lot of new pathways for people to get those organs a lot sooner rather than later.
Okay. Talk to us about the importance of faith in your life and as a kidney advocate.
Sure. Excuse me, that was rude. I shouldn't have took a big old drink of sweet tea like that. I'm sorry.
All right.
I tell you, I was raised in a family to where we hit the church doors every 3 days a week. Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night, and if they had a potluck in between, we were going there too. So, I mean, we were raised in church, and I love those red letters of the Bible. I love following the teachings of Jesus. I am not a fan of religion at all. That's just one more thing that separates us. I've got brothers and sisters that I communicate with on a regular basis, and it helps me stay humble. It helps me stay just grounded in the reality of the world that we live in, and we live in a world that some want us to believe that it's just really bad and everything is doom and gloom, and you got another side that wants you to think everything's super happy, and then there's us all. There's a bunch of us in the middle that's like, we're kind of in the reality of this, and I don't know what I would do if I couldn't turn to that Bible and read scriptures. One that always comes to mind is Corinthians, talking about faith, hope, and love. And University of Oklahoma created a Department of Hope not long ago, and I believe they did 25,000 studies on this. And one of the studies I remember the most is that they had several thousand people. Half of them were super successful. The other half was not successful at all. The difference between the two groups that they could only find, the only major difference is the first group had hope in things. They had hope for a future. They had goals and stuff. And so I try and, I look at Jesus and I'm like, that's the standard, that's the standard right there, and stuff. And so that's what I try and do, but I mess up every day. I sin every day and I hate it. But I'm still working on me. I think that old song, he's still working on me and I'm still working on me. So my faith is important. My faith is important to my family. I'm happy that all my kids are believers. I'm happy that my entire family are believers. And so it means a lot. So we believe in prayer. When we pray, brother, it goes way past our ceilings. It goes straight up to the good Lord.
Please talk about the importance of the support that you've gotten over the years from your wife, Stacy, your children, your family members. Why has that been so important to you?
I know people that go through this journey alone, and if it wasn't for friends, I don't know how they would make it. And I'm going to tell you, my biggest rock has been Stacy. Miss Blankenship is there every step of the way, in every way. I couldn't tell you, it's humbling when you have to have a person wait on you hand and foot. I was not prepared for that after transplant. I think I was pretty prepared for a lot of things, but boy, I sure was not prepared for having to have my wife weighed on me hand and foot and stuff, because it's just not who I am, and and it was humbling. And so, we grew a lot through that experience, and it just made our bond even stronger than what it already was. And I'm thankful that she is there to give me. She gives me advice all the time, especially about my clothes. She picked out this outfit tonight, everybody. So that's how she is. But she, her and my kids were there at my transplant. My sister Candace, the one that's a nurse, was there. Our family was all praying, and so had I not had them helping us out, babysitting, helping us with the kids, someone were making us food, bringing us food over. I couldn't go over all the different things that they did, because they did so many of them. But it was I had to have that, and I'm so thankful for it. And I'm blessed to be in that position to where I could have had that. And they did a fantastic job. I'll never be able to thank them enough. So, but I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's great. You and your wife have a credo, a saying, don't dwell on the bad, just move on. Can you explain to our audience how this has helped you?
Well, it's like that seed that gets planted in the ground and stuff. Well, there's seeds that are being planted in our minds all day long, and those seeds could come in a million different forms and stuff. And so you can either choose to water that seed and let it grow, or you can choose just to let it fall in them rocks and not grow. And so we just do our best to focus on the positive, because we all know the negative is coming. It's not a matter of if, it's when's it going to get here, when's it coming to our door. And so we know we're going to have to deal with things here and there, and so we deal with it and we move on. We know that we know God's got us. We know that we're going to be taken care of in the end. So I mean, without that, you ask about our faith. Without knowing that, I don't know where I would be, but I know that's definitely my foundation, and that's her foundation. And that's what we depend on. And we just keep trying to take it back to that.
Excellent. Talk about your experiences as a former state of Arkansas and state of Oklahoma child abuse investigator, your experience as with the Oklahoma Public Employees Association as an Oklahoma representative, and a tribal member of the Cherokee Nation. How has this helped with your kidney advocacy work?
Well, I'll start off by saying the Cherokee Nation is awesome. We have storms come through Oklahoma all the time. Okay, we live in Tornado Alley, and so thunderstorms are they're coming every spring. They're going to hit you, and so sometimes the dialysis clinic that I treated at and some of the other surrounding clinics have to have emergency generators. Well, my clinic did not have an emergency generator. We tried to reach out to the company, got nowhere. It was a complete dead end every time we'd make a call. And then we made one phone call to the chief's office and deputy chief's office and council member's office, and it was taken care of. They had a brand new generator delivered out there. And so I can't thank the Cherokee Nation enough for that, because there's people that's going to be treating that clinic for years to come, and they do not have to worry about that power shutting off anymore, because anybody that's been on dialysis and your power goes out, it's not a fun process to get everything unhooked. And so having that generator out there is a must. And so I'm not really sure why it's not written into some law somewhere where every dialysis clinic in the United States should not have an emergency generator attached to it. It's just my opinion about it. Right. Makes sense to me. All the hospitals have to have it. Why didn't the dialysis clinics have to have it? I'm just trying to help out my patients. Amen.
Okay. Let's talk about some of your experiences as a kidney advocate. Currently, you're one of the ambassadors for the dialysis patient citizens, and you're a member of the board of directors for the DPC to help others through your kidney advocacy. What's it like working with the DPC?
Oh, I love it. We got a great team. We We all talk on a regular basis, and the thing that I get the most out of is when we are able to share each other's experiences. Somebody will call and say, look, I showed up my clinic. I showed up at my clinic the other day, and it was locked. They couldn't treat us because there wasn't a doctor. Or we find out what the best practice is in this clinic, and if it's not going on in another. So we share a lot of information and stuff. The board's got great goals, and workforce shortages is one of those goals, and supporting innovation. We're trying to get the Restore Act taken care of. It I enjoy being a part of a group of people that's got the same experiences as I have had, and then they're trying to make things better for everybody else that's going through those experiences. And I would say, I bet you everybody's goal, and I hadn't never asked them this particular question, but I bet you if they had to answer it in this term, everybody wants life to be better for everybody in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They don't want people going through the same struggles that we went through. And so it's a great experience. I'm thankful for it. And I don't take it lightly, because it's an honor to be able to speak and help patients and speak on their behalf whenever we go advocate for them. And so it's a blessing, and I'll never let that escape me, at how thankful I am to be able to do that.
Talk to us a little bit about what it's like to work for the NKF, the AKF, the PKD Foundation, your other groups.
Yeah, so everything started out with me as far as advocacy wise with the National Kidney Foundation. So Matthew Fitting actually was, and Andrew Fullerton were the two guys that I had reached out, or they had reached out to me, and we ended up conversing, and I ended up becoming an ambassador for them, and I still work with them, especially here in Oklahoma. They're vamping things up here in Oklahoma, and so we got some big plans happening, around here that I'm excited about. But yeah, National Kidney Foundation is where I started out at, and I still help them out, and I will till the day that I die, because I believe in their work. I do. The American Kidney Fund has been there since the beginning too. I didn't become an ambassador to them until I ended up talking to Ben. I talked to Ben one day on the phone, and I liked everything that he had to say, and so I signed up and was glad to be a part of them, and still glad to be a part of AKF. And I'm very thankful for their work. They help a lot of people. Both organizations help a lot of people. Now, I'm new to the PKD Foundation, but I'm not new to that disease, because that's the one that's been the challenge for my family, is polycystic kidney disease. And so I absolutely am full force on helping them with anything they want to do. And we're starting to talk a little bit about things in Oklahoma, and we've been talking with each other about what we may and may not can do to help out. And so we're trying to get everybody. I want to get everybody together here in Oklahoma. I want everybody at the table to talk, to see what we can do. This is my home state, and I also have these same feelings for Arkansas, because I did live over there for a period of time, and that's where I got my transplant at. But I've loved working with every organization. They're all great. They've all got their niche as far as, things that they do. And I love it. And so I would encourage every single person to find one of those organizations and get plugged in. And if you're listening and you got heart disease, there's other associations, there's other organizations out there, but it's important to get plugged in, because nobody's going to speak better for you than you. And all you got to do is get started. Ain't nothing to it. All you got to do is go have conversations with people. But I would encourage everybody to get plugged into an organization, and that would be my advice.
Do you have any advice for younger kidney advocates, people that are just starting out?
Yeah, I've got some stories, but I didn't have a chance to call them and ask them if I could share them on air. So I'll just share some general information. But yeah, I've been working with some folks. I will mention one guy by name, and he was probably the first person that reintroduced me to the whole kidney challenge. His name's Brayson Russell, and he had a kidney transplant when he was very, very young, and he's thriving now. He plays the drums, plays hockey up in Colorado and stuff, and then the Carter brothers. these are all young folks that they have a desire to help out. They have a desire to share their stories, and because they want to help people their age and stuff. And so my advice to all of them would be, you just get plugged in and you just start pushing forward. There'll be people that will be there to help you. And if nobody else will help you, you call me, and I promise you I'll help you. But I would tell everybody, get plugged in somewhere. Get plugged in your state on a regional basis. Get plugged in nationally. Your stories are important. And our leaders, the ones in Washington, D.C., the ones that sit in those offices that make all the decisions about us, they need to hear your story. They need to hear your struggles. They need to hear your victories too. But they also need to make sure they know every one of those challenges. And I'm going to tell you right now, Jim, I'll shut up in just a second. Right now, for kidney patients research, the NIH is funding less than $19 per patient. And I want to say that again. The research funding is less than $19 per patient right now in the kidney community, okay? And I think I'm worth more than 4 gallons of gas. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, we definitely are, buddy. No doubt about it, particularly when they're giving away 4,000, 5,000 to other groups. Cancer, Alzheimer's are good examples of people that are correctly funded.
Yeah. Yeah, we love those groups, and we're glad they're funded that way. But when we've got other things going on and money being sent here and there and this and that done with it, I think we better err on the side of helping the patients. Let's help the underserved population for once. That's what I think.
Very good. Very good. Do you have any future advocacy plans that you can talk to us about, things that aren't deep, dark secrets?
Yeah, no, we've got a few of those, but they'll come to light soon. We're trying to build bridges. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people to talking to each other that may not have ever talked to each other in the past, and we're trying to get groups to work together that may not have ever worked together in the past, and through all that, we're going to start. I like that saying in the Bible, the scripture in the Bible, iron sharpeneth iron. And I believe in that. We're going to make each other better. The more we communicate, the more we share our experiences and our stories. And so I did have a meeting with State Representative Chris Sneed. I know he won't mind me saying this. Had a meeting with him the other day at Charlie's Chicken in Muskogee, Oklahoma. And we talked about an Oklahoma Kidney Day. And so we're probably going to look at doing that in conjunction with World Kidney Day on March, is it 14th? It's a Thursday in March. I know that, but we're looking at that. And so my vision for something like that would be we would have free testing at the state capitol that day. We would just have a lot of information booths set up. We would have nephrologists, nurses, techs set up inside that capitol, prepared to talk to people, also to talk and educate the legislatures, which is really, really important. And I've got some great legislatures around here that have been open from day one of me knocking on their door, and some of them have their own stories that they could tell, and it's just been a great team, because we don't care nothing about politics. We don't care nothing about blue. We don't care nothing about red. We care about helping patients. That's what we care about. And so when I sit down to meet with these folks, that's exactly the way they are. The gentleman I met with the other day, first words out of his mouth when he sits down, tell me how I can help. I mean, and so you can't beat working with somebody like that, because I have been in offices before. I've been in offices before, and Jim, you've been in them too, where they'll sit there and tell you everything you want to hear, in front of your face and stuff, and then not back it up. And but I'm thankful that the folks that I've been working with, they're great. But we got some other bills that we're wanting to push on into the legislature. So we've got big plans here in Oklahoma, and I'm going to do the exact same thing in Arkansas. So, well, as a matter of fact, I plan on going over there here in a week or two to go talk with some folks over there about what we can do in Arkansas. So.
Great. I just wanted to remind our audience, as is my custom, in the broadcast that's on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, in the comments, I put all of my research on Glenn in the comments. So if you want to drill down a little bit, if you're interested, you want to learn a little bit more, you can check that thing out. Everything we've talked about tonight is covered in those links. So, Gene, do you have any final statements that you'd like to make to our audience before we conclude the broadcast tonight?
Well, I want people to pay attention to their insurance and the denial claims. Right now, I think every insurance company uses AI. You know, I'm not ignorant to that fact. But the other day there was an article, I think it was in the LA Times, where there was 300,000 denials on claims, and those claims were on average looked at 1.2 seconds. I think we need to watch things like that because it's not the rich folks that's dealing with this stuff. Okay. It's people like me and my family and my friends and those people I sat with at the dialysis clinic for 3 years, the patients I was with in the hospital. It's all of us that's dealing with all those denials and things like that. And so it's creating stumbling blocks when we need to be creating some stepping stones here. And I'm ready for the insurance companies to get on board and stop living off the blood of all these people. I mean, it's getting ridiculous when I hear these stories, when I hear a patient that needs a transplant and is literally knocking on death's door, and he gets told by his Oklahoma insurance company that he has to go to Texas to get a transplant when the insurance is based here in Oklahoma. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand forcing a family to drive 6 hours. You know, I don't understand why a set of twins, when one twin needs a transplant before the next one, and then the next one goes to get the transplant, and the insurance company gives the family a hard time because, oh my gosh, I've got another child that needs a transplant. And I just hope that things can get corrected. And the reason I'm saying all this stuff, because if y'all are experiencing these things, I want you to call your congressman. I want you to call your senator. I want you to call the insurance department. Matter of fact, you can call me. You just email me on Facebook, and then I'll tell you which direction I think you should go. We got to fix this stuff. But if we don't stand up and talk for ourselves, if we don't speak up, nobody else is going to do it. Because I'm going to tell you, all the big wigs that's got the money, they're already at the door or in the door. Okay. We got to be there too. It's going to take all of us standing together, uniting, pushing this thing forward. And so I just want to encourage everybody, link up with people, you know, and let's make life better for all the patients now and for all the patients in the future. And maybe one day we can find a cure, and maybe one day they'll actually let the innovation happen on the transplant, the Kidney X and the new transplantable kidney they've been working on, you know, and they're working on a lot of stuff in space too. But we need to fund these things, and let's get some cures. Let's treat for a cure and not just treat sickness, you know. Amen. I won't say nothing else, Jim.
All right. All right. Gene, what a terrific broadcast tonight. It was an absolute pleasure to get a chance to ask you questions and listen to your answers. And I think we raised an awful lot of awareness tonight among our fellow kidney patients.
Well, I hope so. And I just want to thank you, because you've been doing this longer than probably most people, and you've been in this fight for a long time. And I look to your example, you know, and I've called you, I've called others, Kent, you know, I've called Kent a few times, and I appreciate your leadership and everything that y'all have done, because you know, I'm just trying to keep up with you. That's all I'm trying to do.
Here all this time, I thought I was chasing you.
No way. Well, I appreciate you giving me this opportunity. I do, and I hope I didn't talk too much. I hope I didn't bore you with any of my stories or comments or anything.
No,
I believe in this stuff because obviously we got to change. We got to force this change, and we're the only ones that's going to do it. So we got to stand together and move forward together.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, hang out for a minute, my friend, just to make sure that the recording downloads. I'm going to end the broadcast for our audience, and you'll be behind some placards again. But just hang around for a few seconds, okay?
No problem. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right.